Right then, Year 11. This is a quick walkthrough video, the first one I'm doing for you to help you with your revision ahead of the mock. Now, your mock is going to be the same paper that you had last time, and I will do a playlist for that one. This one comes from 2018, and you can see that we have got question 1 is 24 marks, so the biggest one. Question 2 is 16, and the third question is 20 marks, giving you a 60 overall. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through each and every single part of this, and give you basically a guideline of what you should be answering. So here we have question 1, which normally starts with a nice image. In this case, we've got a recognisable modern coffee machine. Coffee pods are inserted into the machine, then hot or cold water is filtered through the coffee pods, and the beverage drips into a cup or mug underneath. So you can see it's got a number of things labelled up, and it asks you, some parts of the coffee machine have been injection moulded. Now, if you're not sure what injection moulding is, it's something that is used for most, I say most plastic parts. You know, the laptop, whatever you're looking at this on, your mobile phone case may well be made out of injection moulding. It's the most common form of moulding, and it really is a case of you heat plastic up from a hopper, it's squeezed by this screw just here through heaters, which heat it up so it becomes nice and malleable and liquidy, and it's squirted into a mould. Hot glue gun. Think of it in that way, and it comes out. It is the cheapest and easiest kind of, well, I say cheapest, but it is one of the simplest and easiest and most recognisable injection moulding techniques, or moulding techniques for plastic. It asks here to give a advantage and a disadvantage. Both of these are 1 mark, which means that they're only looking for a simple answer. Remember, whatever you're looking at an exam, and I would always suggest walking through the exam, reading it. I often call it to rat the exam, which means to read, annotate, and think. So reading it, just go through the paper and look at the questions so you know what's coming up. Think about it, annotate it. Can be, you might underline key things, highlight keywords. Don't forget you can do that. You can draw underneath this, advantage, disadvantage. They don't mind. It's only this bit where they've got the dotted line, that's where they'll look for your answer. If you want to sort of highlight other things so that it helps you to understand it, that's fine. And plus, if you're not sure about something, move on. Do it in any order. Give your brain a little bit of while. That subconscious will hopefully bring the answer forward. Don't sit there in a panic, just staring at it, hoping that the answer will appear in your brain. It probably won't. Just go and answer something you know the answer for. So, an advantage of this one, they've given us an examples here on the mark scheme. Every part manufactured will be identical, available in various colours, so you could have it in different colours there. Complicated shaped parts can be manufactured, so it can do quite complicated moulds. You can have many part moulds to help that. It's also very fast. It can be quite cheap, because if you make many thousands or millions of these, the actual price per item drops dramatically, and that comes on to this high volume. So it is a high volume production method, and it also produces a very high quality surface as well. So that could, any of those would give you a 1 mark. And a disadvantage, well, we've already said it's expensive to create the mould. You could pay £100,000 for the mould, which means that each one of these, if you only sold 100,000 of them, will be £1 each, and if you only sold 100 of them, they'd have to be £1,000 each. So that's why you've got to do it really for mass-produced items, or else it becomes quite expensive. If the mould is faulty, it will affect the manufacturing part. So yeah, if they don't fit together, yeah, that's not so good. When design is introduced, the moulds become obsolete. So this happens quite a lot of the time. That cars and other things, they try to keep the same moulds for some bits while changing other bits to cut down on costs. Moulds will in time wear and need replacing, so any of those can be a disadvantage. Coming down, it asks us what the handle has been shaped using a 1mm thick aluminium sheet, which is quite thick actually. State 2 reasons why aluminium was chosen to manufacture the handle. Now you can see here this is a 2-point question, and therefore it's not asking for too much justification, so don't spend too long on these types of answers. It's just looking for 2 answers. If there was just one reason, you might have to justify it to get the 2 marks, but in this case it's just literally asking for 1 word. So quality of finish is one of them. The fact that aluminium doesn't corrode and it's going to be in an environment where there's water and steam, that could be another one. It gives a sense of quality as well. It can be recycled. Aluminium is easily to be recycled. It's also a lot more rigid than, say, a similar piece of flat plastic. It's a lot stronger and more rigid. Try to avoid putting down "it's strong" because you're not going to get the marks for that. At the very most, you might only get one. You've got to try and avoid those sort of simplistic answers. Coming on to C, it asks you to look at the following list of polymers or plastics. And it asks you to basically split them up and give an example of a thermoplastic and a thermoset. Now, we should have been through these before, but I will go through them a bit more in detail in the lesson. But a thermoplastic is one that can be heated time and time again. So that's obviously going to be very good for an injection molding piece because it needs to be injection molded and heated up time and time again. Whereas a thermoset, once you've heated it, molded it, it does not like to be heated again. It will burn. So I always think of it, a thermoplastic is like an ice cube. You can heat an ice cube, it melts, pour it into a mold, freezes again, different shape, same. An egg, though, or how I often think of as a thermoset, you heat an egg up, it's runny to start with, but then it solidifies. You try and heat it again, it will just burn. In this one, we have got polystyrene and nylon. Polystyrene and nylon are both thermoplastics, so either of those will go in there. And urea formaldehyde, which is used for sockets and other things like that, and polyester resin, which is often used for car body filling, and this is also the resin used in glass reinforced plastic and also carbon fibre. Those are both thermosets. Coming down, the removable water tank has been manufactured from acrylic. One of the characteristics or properties of acrylic is that it can be easily machined, so it can be cut by a machine. State one more characteristic or property of acrylic and explain why it is appropriate when manufacturing the removable water tank. So it's got the characteristic or property, and then it asks for an explanation. So therefore you've got 2 marks here that are split. And if we think about this one, we can think of what you would expect a good thing about acrylic could be. Now if you put the negative down there, you're obviously not going to get the marks. We've got down here it's transparent, so it's very clear, and that's obviously that's a really good thing because the water, you can see the level in it. It's got good impact resistance. It will withstand the impact if dropped on the floor. This is a bit that's going to be constantly taken in and out of the actual coffee machine, so you've got to make sure that it's impact resistant. It's durable. It will be taken in and out and refilled with water many times, so you need it to be durable. Easily cleaned. So acrylic can be easily cleaned, so it can be washed with all other kitchen utensils and the chemicals that we use, and it's not going to be damaged. Hard wearing, so it can be used repeatedly, and it's also heat resistant. It will retain its shape when hot liquid, so it hasn't got a low melting point, so if hot liquid was put into it, it wouldn't melt. Explain why the adjustable drip tray has been manufactured from stainless steel. Now there's another one. We know that stainless steel is a strong, rigid and also corrosion resistant material, and we can see that this needs 2 marks. So as far as that's concerned, it needs 2 marks in this one, so we need to make sure that we have that and we explain it and justify it. Corrosion resistant, hard wearing, aesthetically, because it's nice finish to it, it's recyclable, it's readily available, easily manufactured, and it says accept any reasonable answer that is appropriate. So there's a little bit of a wide range of why this would be quite good. Stainless steel is hard wearing. Stainless steel is hard wearing and is able to withstand the daily regular use of ceramic mugs being placed on the tray. You might sort of say stainless steel is corrosion resistant, so that it will resist the liquids and steam and coffee that might be spilt on it. So something like that to justify it is very important. We then go into the next one, which is about the electric circuit inside the coffee machine will consist of a number of components. Name each component shown and give a description of its purpose. Now these should be quite simple. This one's really easy. That's a push switch. So you put a push switch in there, and the purpose, well, that should be quite straightforward. It's to turn the machine on or off, or break the circuit, or any of those will go in there. This one you might not recognise as much. That particular one is a resistor. So that resists the flow of electricity, and the little bands tell us how much it does or doesn't. It gives it its value. So a resistor to control the flow of the current to other components and to limit the current, which could damage the components. So any of those where you're resisting, slowing down, stopping too much electricity going through, that's what they're looking for in there. G, companies update their products on a regular basis. for various reasons. Suggest 2 improvements that the design engineer could make to the coffee machine to increase sales. Discuss the benefits of each. Now you've got 4 times 1. So there's 4 marks times 1. So there's 4 individuals, improvement, benefit, improvement, benefit. So they want 1, 2, 3, 4. Now things you could say are, and increase the size of the removable tank. And obviously that would benefit, allow you to put more water in, so you could have more cups of water. They could have more colour options, for example. And obviously that would mean that you could individualise them, or people might decide to have them so they fit in with their decor. They could include a space for another cup, which obviously means that you can make one for your friend. Or they could manufacture it solely from stainless steel. So that would make it more expensive, but it would make it more desirable, it would look aesthetically really pleasing, and it also would last longer. So all of those things would come in, but again, they might just bring in a few different ones into that one. Now we've got this one, which is the next one on the next page. What I'm going to do is going to leave that for the next video, mainly because I think the bell's going to go in a minute and we don't want that in there. And we'll come back and we'll have a look at this next question.